If you like to make your NFL games a little bit more interesting, you've come to the right place. It's the Even Money Podcast with Ross Tucker and Steve Fezzik.
Yeah, Vegas, baby, Vegas. It is the Even Money Podcast. We are, of course, presented by DraftKings and DraftKings Sportsbook. As always, if you're looking to get into the next best ball draft with me and Joe Dolan on the Fantasy Feast podcast, take advantage of any of the sponsor codes you see at rosstucker.com, or just use the code Ross on the DraftKings app or the DK Sportsbook app, which is always a great way to go about it. I'm Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman, 5 teams, 7 years. Most of you know that. Quite honestly, most of you don't really care because that was a long time ago. You just like that I call games now, and so I'm involved as a former player turned broadcaster. I'll be doing college and NFL once again this year for CBS. So make sure you're following me on social media at Ross Tucker NFL for more information as far as that goes. Really looking forward to it. We are at Ross Tucker Pod on social media. The unquestioned star of this show is Steve Fezzik. He's at Fezzik Sports on social media. You know, Steve is not afraid to go places on social media that other people won't go. I think there's a lot of lyrics involved. He's not afraid to call other people out. He's gone political recently without really going political, just kind of saying the same thing most people are thinking. At any rate, he's a good follow on social media. I kind of recommend it, Steve.
Ross, do you know the song Eve of Destruction, 1965?
So here's something interesting about me and music. I know the names of very few songs, and I don't know that many names of groups, but I actually love music and listen all the time. But I don't, like, I never bought CDs or whatever. I just would listen to the radio. I liked being surprised. You know what I'm really into in the summer, Steve? Yacht rock radio. I listen to a lot of yacht rock. I just want to be happy and smile and think about love, and I'm a happy person. I don't know.
Ooh, a little California dreamin', mamas and papas, just Beach Boys. That's our sort of genre, huh?
Yeah. All right, but what's Eve of Destruction? Why'd you bring that up?
Oh, it's just in 1965 there was the Cold War, and the artist was singing, "You tell me over and over and over again, my friend, that you don't believe. We're on the eve of destruction," and just with all the events going on. And now fast forward 60 years later, and the world, you can go up for 4 days in space, but when you return, it's the same old place, Ross.
You know, it's very exciting, by the way, that we are a month away, Steve, from actual NFL action to bet on. I mean, with the Hall of Fame game, maybe even less than a month, which is awesome. Here's what we got today. We're going to get into some of Steve's games of the year for weeks 8 and 9. I do want to get his thoughts on his hot stretch in MLB, as well as his social posts as it relates to his big bet on the Indiana Fever. We will definitely get to some of your questions. We love those of you that rate and review the show or take advantage of any of our sponsors and then email it to us, to me, actually, Ross at rosstucker.com, because your email questions are excellent. We're going to get to more over the next month because then we're going to have games, preseason games. We're going to have action to be betting on. Although it's funny, Steve, we start every show, Vegas, baby, Vegas, or I do. I'm flying out to Vegas later today, and you're not going to be there. I mean, it's like we're 2 ships passing in the night. What's the deal with that? Where are you going?
It's 120 degrees. I got to get out of this town. So I got a little business on the East Coast and some vacay also. So I will be flying out here, later today. But I got to say, I'm shocked. There are so many families that come to Vegas, 118 degrees. It's fine if you're a single guy. It's not a good idea to bring your kids to Vegas in July.
I've been looking at the weather for this week while I'm out there. Holy cow. I mean, the highs today 115, the next 2 days 116. I mean, then it starts to come down a little bit, but I'm staying, Steve, at the Circa because I'm coming out for the Mountain West Media Days because I'll be doing some Mountain West games on college football games on CBS this year. And so I've been to the Circa before. It's amazing. Do you know in particular, I think they provide breakfast and lunch, so I really might only need 2 dinners. Are there dinners at Circa or near Circa you would recommend for me, Steve?
Spot on. So write this down, Ross. Here is your go-to for food downtown Las Vegas. I know you're getting free lunch. You got to get a slice of pie at Evil Pie. Evil Pie, it's right downtown. It's a hole in the wall. You'll love it. 1 slice there. Get the Goblin Pizza slice. They do it by slices. For dinner, you want casual, you go to Circa, you go to Saginaw's. That's the deli. Great deli there. If you want to dress up a little bit, you go to Barry's. It's in the basement. Fantastic dinner for that's their gourmet dining. Also, if you go walk over to the D, Andiamo's is my number 1 recommendation. It's a little hole-in-the-wall casino. Fantastic gourmet dinner at Andiamo's. And at night, you have to do this, Ross. The Legacy Club. 60th floor, top of the Circa. It is so incredible. If you like the Ghost Bar, if you like the Voodoo Lounge in the day 20 years ago, go up there, best view in town, the Legacy Club, after dinner drinks.
That's in Circa where I'll be.
Yes, sir.
Because when it's that hot, I'm not real big on like going outside that much. Although I do want to be in the pool. Although the pool might even be so high.
Oh, Circa Swim is hot in multiple ways. Go to Circa Swim. Yes.
Meanwhile, Steve, for those of you who don't watch the show, I know a lot of you just listen to it. Steve's wearing a cut-off sleeves on the show, and he's inside in this air-conditioned home, which is absolutely amazing. I love it. All right, I like the advice, Steve. It's a bummer that we can't get together and break bread or have a beer or something together, but that's okay. I'm looking forward to getting out there and enjoying a little bit. I appreciate the tips. I also appreciate the tips that you give us every week when it comes to betting on the NFL. We've been going through with this almost every week. And last week we did what? You had a couple game week 6 bets that you liked, 3 of them. Now we've got week 8 and 9 games of the year. Let's start with, you got some totals that you like already. That's interesting to me. We haven't talked totals, I don't think, for the first 7 weeks. And now October 27th, you like Jets, Patriots under 41.5.
Yeah, so DraftKings has all these lines up, widely available at DraftKings. And here's 2 teams. I think the Jets have a top 5 defense. I am not an Aaron Rodgers fan, and I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback. So average offense, really good defense. Patriots, pretty good defense, no offense. Where are the points coming from? I noticed almost every total is being dealt between 41 and 51. When they actually play these games, you're going to see totals as low as 37, totals as high as 53. So this is a case, I think DraftKings is anchoring their totals. They don't want to go below 41. I think you have to go below 41 on select games. And I've picked out 3 this week. The first one is Jets-Pats under 41.5.
Interesting. Why do you feel that way, first of all, about Rodgers, not a top 10 quarterback?
Just the age. Pretty much anyone not named Brady hits the wall when they hit age 40. I'll see Peyton Manning in his last embarrassing year. I know he won the Super Bowl. He's a great game manager. And, I look at Brett Favre and how good he was at 39. And then 2 years later, he's ready to be out of the league.
The thing that's interesting about this week, on October 27th, that's probably right about when Drake May will be taken over as the Patriots quarterback, you know? It's like they'll have Brissett. My guess will start the season. I bet you Brissett wins them a game or 2 in the first 7-8 weeks. This is right around when I think we'll start to see Drake May, which is even more fuel, I feel like, Steve, for your under, because I think it'll be Drake May's like third or fourth start at most against that Jets defense.
Yeah, good point. Also, it's the time of year. Hard to believe with it being 120 degrees yesterday. Weather might become a factor. End of October, Halloween showing up. I seem to remember when I was back east, some really cold Halloween nights. So in Boston, you never know. Could get some weather.
What about you like Carolina and Denver under 42? I saw the social post recently that we had from last week's show. You've made it very clear how you feel about Denver, and I'm sure you're looking at Carolina and thinking, well, how are they going to score points? They couldn't score any points last year. I don't want to steal your thunder on Broncos-Panthers under 42, Steve.
Yeah, spot on. Two very, very below average quarterbacks. Bo Nix, probably the worst starting quarterback in the league. And I'm not a believer in Bryce Young. I do think Carolina will have a pretty good defense. 42 with two bad quarterbacks, just a bridge too far. Go under the 42.
So we're already taking under. Now, are these bets that you really already made, Steve? Like you're already really putting money down on a week? Is it a week 9 unders?
Yes, but modest bets because the limits are low. But the one thing I really like about DraftKings, when I go to Circa and I make a bet, I make a limit bet, boom, they'll move the total 2 points on my bet only. DraftKings, they'll take some action, and they're comfortable with their numbers. They don't move it, so I can just go ahead and give it out. Part of that is I'm not getting huge bets down on these, but I'm already invested in these.
Nice. All right. Those were your week 9 games. Before we get to the week 10 games, I want to make sure everybody knows what you should be drinking this upcoming weekend or whenever you want to drink it. Actually, it's your life, Steve, maybe on vacation. Take things to the next level. Drink some Labatt Blue Lights with your friends, family. Live life to the power of we. Always enjoy responsibly. Beer, Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York. Okay. Steve, what about these week 10 bets you have, including Patriots, Titans under 41?
Let's stay with the theme here of going under 41 or higher on games where no one can score. So I think New England's a dead nut under team this year. I don't believe in Tennessee's offense at all. And you hand me a 41 when I think it should be sub 40. That's key number. Got to get 41. Can't play an under 40. But at 41, under.
So basically what you're doing now, Steve, is you're getting what you believe is locking in some closing line value right now.
Yeah, no reason to tie up your money when the game isn't going to be played for 3 months unless you feel that's a number that's going to be going and it's not going to be coming back. And that's certainly the theme on every one of these that I'm giving out week after week.
Got it. Okay. And then the other one you like is this is not a total. You like New Orleans minus 120 at Carolina as you continue to attack the Panthers.
Yeah, I know that the Carolina Panthers have seen a whole lot of money. They opened 4.5 for their season win number, and they're up to 5.5. Fine, they'll improve. I think I read that Carolina did not have the lead the entire year in the fourth quarter. Did you see that? Both their games they won were like at the buzzer, to get their 2 wins.
Yeah.
So they could have gone 0-17 last year. So they'll be markedly improved. That means they're going to win 5 games. You know what? The Saints, they're going to win 7 or 8. The Saints are significantly better. And because of that, pick them minus 120. The price is right in a game I'm confident the Saints are going to wind up being favored in more than likely. We're going to lay minus 120 right now. Lock it in.
All right. So for those of you, and by the way, as we get closer to the season, and we have official plays, we'll be putting them all up on our Patreon, patreon.com/RT Media. Never a bad time to make sure you get on there so you can see all of our official plays the entire NFL season. But for those of you that, since we're not posting these just yet, Jets, Pats under 41.5, week 9. And Carolina, Denver under 42, week 9. Those are October 27th games. And then week 10, November 3rd, again, Patriots under, this time against the Titans, under 41. And then taking New Orleans minus 120 at Carolina in week 9. So there you go. Steve, you've got your games of the week. Before I forget, a couple things that I've noticed on your social media, non-football topics. The Fever. Caitlin Clark's been playing well. They've been playing better than anticipated. You do not seem to be worried about your season win total bet on the WNBA Fever.
Yeah, icy calm, Ross. Icy calm. We got under 20.5 wins. The Fever are still below 500. They still have to play 2 games late in the year against my Las Vegas Aces. And I'm frankly kind of surprised that the Fever have turned it around. They are exceeding what my expectations were, a couple weeks ago. Nevertheless, the Fever are not a contender. They're not a team that is going to be expected to play above 500. So I expect they finish the year with 18 or 19 wins. And we have a nice little margin under the 20.5 because of the Caitlin Clark tax that got applied to the preseason WNBA season win total on the Fever. By the way, that's a theme in all sports that pretty much if you look at every NFL team, the average total should be like 8.4 because you can have ties, 17-game season. The actual total, if you combine all the teams, is like 8.6. People like to bet overs. They wanted to bet Caitlin Clark over, and because of that, we got extra value with a good number on the Fever. Ultimately, that might make the difference. If the Fever overachieve and get to 20, we'll steal it completely because we got the 20.5.
Got it. I didn't even know how many games there was in the WNBA, to be honest with you.
40. So if they go 20-20, we win.
So interesting, too, how it's in the summer, so it's like right after the college season, they go right into their WNBA season. What about your MLB hot streak, Steve? I didn't even know you were a big MLB guy.
Yeah, I've been running good actually the last 3 years. Thanks to my friend, the base winner. So I get his stuff and I use that. Some other sharps as well. But one thing that I've really focused on, there was 2 themes. I would say 20 years ago, all the wise guys were like, play underdogs, play plus 150 underdogs in baseball. That's where the value is. Don't lay minus 150 or higher. Ross, the world has changed. Baseball has changed. The favorites are the way to look more often than not in games. There's teams like the White Sox, the Colorado Rockies, the Oakland A's. There's just so many bad teams that you cannot trust, especially later in the game with the White Sox. So I played more favorites than I have underdogs. But one thing I love, even a bad team, if you got a stud, an ace on the mound, back him in the first 5 innings. Example, Detroit Tigers. I call him skee ball. In skoo ball, we trust. The dude just keeps doing it game after game. Don't want to trust the Tigers. They can't hit. And their bullpen is suspect. But first 5 innings with skoo ball, absolutely.
What about the Skeens guy from the Pirates?
No doubt. Absolutely. He's in that list. Croquet, for mispronouncing names left and right, for the White Sox is outstanding. There's just take the bullpen out of the game completely. Just focus on a dominant starter. Plays first 5 innings.
All right, let's get to some of these email questions, Steve, because they're often very good. They're coming from our listeners or people that check us out, youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL, or on the DK Network. We're on Roku, Samsung TV Plus, a lot of places you can watch the show for those of you that have those fast channels. But I love your email question because, number one, it usually means you either took advantage of one of our sponsors, which is huge, or you rated and reviewed the show. Number two, it's good content. It's good questions to ask Steve. And if you have those questions, I bet you other people do as well. Let's start with this one, Steve, from Tom. This was from during the season. Love the pod, started listening this season. I'm curious what Steve's thoughts are on cashing out bets. Some apps, such as the one I use, give you the ability to cash out a bet after the odds have changed. This season, I won money on a bet that Micah Parsons would be Defensive Player of the Year. I cashed out a little past the halfway point of the season, whereas I stuck with my Eagles money line bet through halftime of the Super Bowl and obviously lost that. Man, this might be from 2 years ago. Gosh, we got to get to more of these questions. This was from 2 years ago, evidently, Steve. But the question remains the same. Your thoughts on cashing out bets on some apps that allow you to do that?
It's almost always incorrect to hit the cash out button because you get short paid based on the algorithm. Two exceptions, one being if you absolutely are like 99.999% and your bet's going to pay $2,100 and they offer you $2,099. Well, just go ahead and lock it in and have the money available, especially if you don't have a lot of money in the account. Close enough. I'd say more often than not, a case like the Eagles in the Super Bowl, you're better off instead of cashing out, going ahead. If you don't like the Eagles anymore, just bet it live, shop for the very best number, and then play back, on the other side without hitting the cash out button, where you're almost always short paid to the point that just doesn't make sense.
Interesting. How many apps have that? Do you know?
It's becoming more and more common here in Vegas. I can tell you the MGM does it the most, but it's so rare, like I said, that I'm insulted by the offers. And you actually see it, like guys have like 11 team parlays and they've gotten 10 of the 11 parlays in, and you look at their ticket and it's worth like 50,000, and then they get offered. It's almost like that TV show Deal or No Deal early in the show when they just the banker keeps giving insultingly low offers that no one would ever take. And that's pretty much what the sports books do. But they know people will accept them, especially when the payouts and the values of those tickets are really high.
It's a good point. There are people that will take that bird in hand. They wouldn't be doing it unless, by the way, they knew they were going to be, the odds were better for them. All right, this next one comes from, I'm not sure if it's Case or Casey. He said, "Hi, Ross. You and Steve helped me double my bankroll this season. Thank you. My question is simple. Should I now double my standard 1-unit bet or keep betting the same amounts as always? P.S. Often feel left out when you refer to your listeners as men. Women like sports and gambling too." Well, Case or Casey, just so you know, when I say guys or dudes, I really do not mean men. That's sort of like talking to my listeners, like, what's up, guys? Like, I guess I could say guys and gals, but I really mean all of you. I know in fact, everything I've seen is that there's been a real boon with women and sports betting. It's like a huge thing. So love having as many of you listening or watching as possible. Bring on all the ladies. I'm going to say her name's Casey. I'm going to go with Casey instead of Case. Anyway, your thoughts. She was able to double her bankroll. Should she double her standard 1-unit bet now, Steve?
Yes, bet 2% to bankroll for a standard play. That's a good rule of thumb that the pros adhere to. That basically is based upon Kelly criterion, if you want to read up onto it. And people talk about betting optimally, betting half Kelly, betting full Kelly, but 2% of bankroll is a good rule of thumb pursuant to, I love women betting sports. In fact, we're having a Bet Bash celebration in August here in Vegas, and the last night in the Legacy Club, Ross, they bring in models, all right? And all of the men sports bettors love seeing the female models, but I was like, this is a little discriminatory. So I mentioned to Spanky, I think you should have, hey, I'm good with it, have like 3 or 4 Chippendale dancers for the women to go ahead and dress up and be a part of the Bet Bash final dinner.
What's Bet Bash again?
Bet Bash is Spanky puts it together. It's a group of serious bettors that spend the week in Vegas. It'll be August 8th, that week, the second week in August. And they all come together for seminars and presentations. Billy Walters goes there and various folks talking about, Dr. Chow and I are going to do a presentation there on injuries. So you can learn a whole lot and network and interact with a bunch of professional gamblers, novice gamblers, people just interested in sports betting.
Wow, I love it. Check him out on social media at Fezzik Sports. I'm at Ross Tucker NFL. Good luck, everybody. Hope you guys win some money.
Thanks for tuning in to Even Money. Make sure to also check out the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, Fantasy Feast, and College Draft, all on the DraftKings Network, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.